Hey guys, thank you for joining me today on Godspot. I want to talk about the fact that people with high EQ know how to hold a good conversation. In Mark chapter 2 verse 8, but immediately when Jesus perceived in his spirit that they reasoned thus within themselves, he said to them, why do you reason about these things in your heart? Now Jesus had this uncanny ability to recognize other people's feelings. Here is a story of four men that brought their friend to a meeting, that lowered him through the roof. He's paralyzed. Jesus sees these and he heals him. And he says, your sins have been forgiven. And the man gets up and walks out. The religious people are upset and incensed. Instead of being excited about the miracle, they're upset that he would say your sins are forgiven. Who could say such a thing? Only God. But Jesus perceived by the expression on their faces and the tone of their voices what they were trying to do, to undo a miracle that had happened. And this is what Jesus had. He had a heightened sense of awareness of people's body language, their facial expressions, their tone of voice. He could look into their eyes. The more self-aware you are of your own feelings, your thoughts, motivations, and actions, the more you are aware of others around you. And the power of emotional intelligence is the ability to know and understand what other people are feeling. So it makes good sense when you say that a person with high EQ knows how to hold a good conversation because he can measure who he's talking to. But there are a number of rules that they will not break. Number one, they will not talk over others. Constantly interrupting people in a conversation, talking over them isn't a good way to engage with others. People love to talk. I've learned over the years, let other people do all the talking. If you let them do all the talking, at the end of it, they'll often stand up and say, that was fantastic, thanks for listening, and walk out, and you've gained a friend. All because you let them talk. The second thing that people with high EQ don't do is dominate the conversation. You need to notice when you're talking too much. When you see a friend you haven't seen for a while or a family member, it's really easy to talk a lot because you're trying to catch up on everything. But without realizing doing it, you may also dominate the conversation, which means the other person you're meeting with doesn't really get to say anything. And then the message is clear, you're not really interested in what they've got to say because you're too busy talking about yourself. The third thing is giving closed answers. Have you ever chatted with someone who just answers in a plain, simple yes or no? My son, my youngest son, when he was a teenager, would get home from school. His mother would say, how'd your day go? Go, good. Anything interesting happened today? Nope. Anything exciting? Nope. What did you do today? Nothing. And then he'd go to his bedroom. Great conversation. It's not a good high EQ conversation. Number four, not noticing when others are losing interest. When you're talking to someone, a strong sign that you're dominating the conversation is when they pull their phone out and they start looking at their screens. You've lost them. You're no longer engaged with them. People with high EQ don't ever let a conversation get to that point. Number five, missing the signs that others are uncomfortable. You know, there are some subjects you just don't talk about. And people feel really uncomfortable about talking about very personal things. Leave it out, keep it light and fluffy. Number six, people with high EQ don't leave people out. When you're in a group, are you the person that's always trying to include everyone in the conversation? Do you notice when someone's feeling left out? Do you engage them and draw them in? Because high EQ people do exactly that. Number seven, filling in all the silences. A little bit of silence goes a long way in a healthy conversation. When you let a natural pause occur, it gives you both a chance to sit, comfortable silence, and then it gives a chance for the other person to talk as well. Now, I've done enough talking for one day. I hope this helps you. Practice some high EQ in your conversation. Let the other person do all the talking and they feel absolutely valued. Thanks for listening. Hit the like button, share it with someone else. Have a fantastic day. Thanks for listening.